Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Friday, September 4th. I hope everyone is off to a good and safe start to their Friday so far and that you all have a great weekend ahead. In this video I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus check. I'll also be discussing unemployment, what Chuck Schumer is now saying about the next stimulus package, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so jumping right into it today, I'm going to start this video off with a quick update with the federal unemployment insurance benefits. At this point, most states have already applied and been accepted for FEMA's $300 weekly plus-up. However, only a few of those states have actually begun to pay out the benefits at this point in time. Up on the screen, you'll see the list of the states that have already started paying out the benefits to their residents. We can only hope that this list expands even more over the next week or two. And again, the White House administration has said it should only take these states 1 to 2 weeks from the time they're accepted for the benefits to actually paying them out. However, clearly, it's taking some of these states a little bit longer than anticipated to do so. Okay, and now up on the screen, you'll see the list of states that have been accepted for the benefits but haven't started paying them out yet. This list absolutely needs to decrease over the next couple of weeks. Residents in these states really need to start receiving these extra $300 payments because their state unemployment insurance benefits alone simply aren't going to cut it. Alright, and finally, up on the screen you'll see the list of the states that haven't even been accepted for the $300 federal plus-up yet. These states are well behind the curve and need to be more on top of things. It's simply inexcusable for these states to be this slow, and I'm very sorry for those of you that are having to wait such a long time for your states to process your benefits. With that said, let me know in the comment section below how your job search is currently going if you're still looking for work at this point, and if you're optimistic about being employed within the next month or so. I strongly encourage everyone not to give up. Good things are definitely coming ahead for many of us, so let's try to stay as positive as possible. Okay, moving right along to some updates in the next relief package and the second stimulus check. So, we are now just 5 days and counting until the Senate finally returns from their much needed recess away from Washington, D.C. Next week, we can expect them to possibly be voting on a slimmed down Republican version of the next relief package. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both have been vocally outspoken critics of this bill, as it's around $1.5 trillion lower than their $2.2 trillion compromise proposal. In a letter written by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, he said, quote, "Republicans may call their proposal skinny, but it would be more appropriate to call it emaciated. Their proposal appears to be completely inadequate and, by every measure, fails to meet the needs of the American people. With no money for rental assistance, no money for nutrition assistance, and no money for state and local services, the census, or safe elections. Leader McConnell and Senate Republicans would be making another unacceptable and ineffective attempt at providing relief." Schumer then went on to write that he was hoping that with the highest unemployment since the Great Depression and the worst public health crisis since 1918, we could make progress in our negotiations with the White House during the month of August, but President Trump, led by Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, has embraced a hardline view that the federal government should be doing less, not more, during this time of national crisis. So Schumer obviously isn't happy with this $500 billion bill. Big surprise there. Well then, Mr. Schumer, if you don't like it, then get back into the negotiating room with Nancy Pelosi, Mark Meadows, and Stephen Mnuchin and work on getting something done. Figure out what you can agree on and get some help passed now. I like to think of this situation as sort of a damaged house in a way. We have a roof that needs patching, windows that need to be replaced, and a front door that's completely blown off. Then, inside, we have some holes in the wall, some damaged flooring and such, along with some other cosmetic issues. So obviously in these instances, we take care of what's most important first. We fix up the roof and the windows first because obviously we don't want any leaking. We replace the front door because obviously we can't just have a house that's wide open. Then you have the other cosmetic issues inside the house that do need to be fixed, but it's not something that's major. And the longer you wait to get the roof repaired along with the windows and door replaced, the more damage that's going to take place. This is exactly what's happening in this stimulus package, at least in my eyes. The Republicans and the Democrats do agree on certain issues. They agree on stimulus checks, more PPP, food assistance, aid for schools, and an extension of the federal unemployment insurance benefits, granted on different levels. But the important thing here is that we get these things passed now. You can always negotiate later on the things that you don't agree with, such as state and local government funding, or pass through a bill with a small amount, $200 billion or so dollars that Republicans are willing to give to state and local governments, and come back for more money if needed. Don't let our house, our country, our people get destroyed even more than what it has to be. I mean, this is something that could have been, should have been done months ago, but you at least have to get something done now. So, well, what's going to happen next week is that the Senate is going to vote on their slimmed down deal of $500 billion. Democrats are going to block it, and we're going to be right back at square one. However, in the process of all that, Republicans should at least get 51 votes, which will then at least show Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer that they have unity and are on the same page, which will hopefully get them to compromise. Now, I'm not saying that the Republican plan is better, nor am I saying that the Democrat plan is better, but one of these two sides needs to compromise, and I feel like we'll have a better overall chance by Pelosi conceding and getting Democrats on board with a slimmed down bill that includes a second round of stimulus checks, an extension of the unemployment benefits, PPP, food assistance, among other things. Again, these politicians need to stop playing this endless game of chicken where they try to one-up each other and use this package for political reasons. They basically, at this point, have about a month to get a bill passed. If October rolls around and we don't have a package, then at that point, everything will focus over to the elections. These next few weeks are the time that counts, so let's hope that our politicians can get it together, find compromise, and get a bill passed for the American people. Again, there's certainly no guarantee here, but we can only hope for the best. In other news, the North Carolina Senate passed a nearly $1 billion spending bill this week that would enable them to use the rest of the shares of their virus relief money. Now, the bill just needs to pass the House and be signed by the governor for it to pass. Now, why is this significant? Well, for the people of North Carolina, this means that households with parents of children 17 and younger will receive a $355 stimulus check to help offset costs associated with remote learning at schools. And although this isn't much, any little bit certainly helps. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just going to give a quick update on the first round of stimulus payments because unfortunately, there are still way too many people who haven't even received their first stimulus check yet, even though it's quite possible a second round of payments may be going out in the next month or so. With that said, let me know in the comment section below if you've received your first stimulus payment or if you're still currently waiting for it at this point in time. Now, if you haven't received your first stimulus payment, as long as you weren't claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns or had something like past due child support, then you should most definitely be eligible. There were also, of course, income requirements where you couldn't exceed $99,000 as a single filer in order to be eligible. So, if you weren't claimed as a dependent, didn't have past due child support, and you didn't earn over the income requirement, then you should definitely eventually receive your payment. At this point, the best resource in checking your payment status is the payment portal. As long as you filled out a tax return within the last 2 years or started receiving Social Security benefits before this year, then you don't have to take any action to receive your payment. Otherwise, it would be required that you fill out the non-filers tool on irs.gov in order to receive your payment. And I know it's totally frustrating having to wait this long, and I'm incredibly sorry for those of you who are still waiting, but you will eventually receive your payment. Additionally, if you're on Social Security benefits and never received the additional $500 payment for your dependents under the age of 17, then you'll have until September 30th to fill out the non-filers tool to claim your dependents to receive your payment. Otherwise, unfortunately, you'll have to wait all the way until next year to claim your $500 credit on your tax return. Finally, if you have any questions whatsoever in regards to your first stimulus payment, you can always still call the IRS at 1-800-919-9835. And the only recommendation that I would have for you is to try calling a little bit earlier in the day just to avoid those longer hold times. Alright, so at this point, I'm just going to answer some of the comments and questions that I received on my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to answer as many of the comments and questions as I possibly can, but for those comments and questions I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to answer in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video, which is from Sour Eye Chan. This comment says, "Hi Josh, will I get my stimulus check like the first one, directly deposited to my bank? Do I have to do anything in order to get the second stimulus check?" All right, thank you so much for your question. And yes, you should receive the second stimulus check in the same form as you received the first one. So, for example, if you received your first check in the mail, you should be able to go back into the payment portal and insert your direct deposit information. That way, the IRS can directly deposit your payment the next time around. Also, you shouldn't have to take any action for the second round of stimulus payments since the IRS should already have all of your information on file. Okay, moving right along to the next question of today's video, which is from Randall. Randall says, Josh, can't Trump go over Pelosi's head and pass a stimulus bill in an executive order, such as stimulus checks? All right, thank you so much for your question, Randall. And unfortunately, no sitting president would have the power to issue an executive order for stimulus checks. This would be something that would need to be authorized through legislation passed by Congress, mandated by the Constitution. It was set up this way, of course, so the president couldn't always just go over the heads of others to get whatever he wanted in any situation. So, if, for example, the president wanted to do something drastic that practically everyone else hated, he wouldn't be able to do so without prior approval from Congress, which also usually requires bipartisanship. The payroll tax holiday is really the closest thing he could have done to stimulus checks, and he was only able to do that because it wasn't completely eliminating payroll taxes. He was simply instructing the Treasury Department to stop collecting it for a short period of time, and of course, all that money will have to be paid back later. Now, obviously, a payroll tax holiday isn't nearly as effective as a stimulus check would be, and I could go into all the reasons why, but I don't want this video to go on too much longer. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you'd like to receive one free stock from Webull, valued all the way up to $1,600, please feel free to claim that free stock by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.